Hello there and welcome to Norton Live Streams. In case you didn't know, Norton Live Streams are a part of a series of streams we do here at Norton. If you've missed any of the streams we've done in the past, they're all available on our YouTube channel. So please have a look there. Lots of other content to do with abrasives on there. So have a look and fill your boots. Okay, so before we start today, I just want to introduce you to a couple of functionalities on the platform we're using today, which is Microsoft Teams. The first one is the closed captions function. So if you follow the instructions on screen here, click on the little gear icon, you can activate the subtitles in your relevant language to translate my English for you. And also, whilst we're on this stream today for the next half an hour, if you've got any questions you want to ask us here at Norton on what you're going to see here today, pop your questions in the chat, and then we'll have a live question and answer session at the end of today's subject. Which brings me nicely to what is the subject today? It's how to convert your angle grinder to use quick change discs like this here. Okay, so that's what we're going to be talking about for the next half an hour. So let's have a look at the agenda for today. Okay, so first of all, we're going to introduce you to your expert today, and that's only me on my own, so that should be quick. Also, we're going to have a look into what are the benefits of quick change discs, our portfolio of products in the quick change disc family, how to convert your angle grinder, the two different ways to do that, and the live Q&A at the end. Okay, so we've got quite a bit to go through today. So I think it's quite good just to introduce you to the product. So a couple of PowerPoint slides just to get used to exactly what we're talking about today. Here's me. I'm Paul. I live in Cheshire in the centre of England. I'm the application engineer for MRO for the EMEA region. 32 years in manufacturing, 20 of those I've spent in abrasives. So very, very long time in abrasives. Okay, so let's have a look at the subject, quick change discs. So yes, next slide, please, Martin. When I refer to Martin, I'm talking about my good friend Martin Greswold, who's working on the production today. So you'll hear him later in the Q&A. Okay, so quick change disc, the benefits. Okay, so these are the main benefits we can see when we use these smaller products. And I think one of the main ones for us today is versatility, and you'll certainly see that today. We can do lots of different applications with the same tool, all right? And we'll show that when we finish this stainless steel workpiece later on. But it says quick disc change here, and that is one of the real key functionalities of that, and that's why we call them quick change discs, so it kind of links in. Change discs in a matter of seconds, and you don't need any tools to do it like you do with other machines where you've got to find your spanners to undo your flanges or your nuts or whatever else. So, yeah, really important. Optimum use of disc. Often with a lot of discs, you only use the periphery of the disc. So the center of the abrasive of the disc is not used at all. With quick change discs, because they are so small, you can actually utilize the disc fully. So you really do utilize the full surface. Also, we say here reduce costs. That's obvious, really. They're smaller, so they cost less. So they are cheaper than larger alternatives. And last one of these is greater accuracy. All right, the smaller disc, you could get into corners a lot easier. You could see what you're doing a lot more. It's much easier to control than a larger disc on a machine like an angle grinder. Okay, so the portfolio, it's a huge portfolio, to be honest with you. We're not going to go through all of these products today, but we're going to select a few of the highlights from this. So we divide them into two different families here. We've got the coated abrasive discs, as you see on the top there. And one of the star highlights of this is our Blaze R980. So that's a fully ceramic disc with a top size on there for cooler cutting. Really high performance product. But we have lots of other options throughout the range, depending what material you're going to be grinding on. So you've got your aluminium oxide for your standard steels. You've got your Norzons for, again, standard steel or stainless steel, and the Blaze for harder materials or faster material removal. We've then got the second family down below, which is our non-woven abrasive discs. So these are essentially the items we use for finishing. So as you see, we could do everything with a grinder. We can grind off, take off welds, remove decent amount of material, but then we can use the non-woven portfolio here to blend, to finish and prepare your surface for polishing or whatever you need to do. Okay, so we're going to have a quick 2 slides of 2 different ways of how we actually convert your grinder. So the one here is using our M14 quick change backing pad. So these are 2 different pads available. We've got a blue and a black. The blue one is more stiff, so for more heavy duty applications. The black rubber is a little bit more flexible. So when you need the disc to be able to flex over contours, etc., this is when you'll use the black pad. But this is a dedicated tool with an M14 thread. You could spin quickly on your grinder and away you go using quick change discs. Okay. Second method is this little adapter we have here. So this is where you take your existing quick change disc backup pad, you remove the spindle from that, you can wind in this little adapter, and on the large end it has the M14 thread there to go straight on your grinder. So easy, very, very easy and quick to change your grinder to use these products. So yes, it shows you how quick you can convert this heavy-duty machine to be using these very small discs for a little bit of smaller work. Okay, so as we say, an angle grinder, very, very versatile tool. We've got a lot of products that go on this tool, but generally it's for bigger surface areas where you want to do a lot of work with this tool because it's a heavy-duty machine. We can put large diameter discs on there that last a long time. But when you're actually trying to finish smaller components where you just want to remove a bit of weld and then blend this, yeah, you can do that with this machine, no problem at all. But the major limiting factor is that once you've removed the weld, it takes 10 seconds. Then you've got to change the disc over for the next product, so a blending product. So you're spending more time actually changing the disc on this machine than you are actually working on the component. So this is where, in a lot of industrial applications, this tool comes in. Okay, this is a mini right angle grinder, so essentially the same as this, but a lot smaller. So this is, in a lot of professional applications, this is the tool they will use with quick change discs because it's a lot faster to change the disc on this tool than it would be an angle grinder. So if you're doing small components, lots of small little bits where you've got to change the disc often, it makes perfect sense to be using this mini rag. But the limiting factor of this machine is, as you notice here, we have an input for an air supply. Okay, so this is a pneumatic machine, so it's air powered. So if you are to use one of these machines, you have to have a compressor. Okay, and to be honest with you, you'd have to have a heavy-duty industrial compressor with a high capacity because these machines are extremely air-hungry. Okay, so if you had a small compressor you can buy from your local hardware store, it would empty the tank on that compressor within minutes, and then it would not work. It would be no power in this product at all. So if you want to use this kind of machine with this kind of quick change discs, as we see here, you need to invest in a big compressor system in your premises, which is obviously very, very expensive to do and requires quite a bit of maintenance as well. So the easy solution to this is to be able to convert your electric angle grinder to use these quick change discs, and that's what we're going to show you how to do now. Okay, so 2 ways to do it, as we said. So we have our M14 backup pads, which we have here in front of us. We'll just zoom in on them if we can, Martin, on the camera. So we move that handle out of the way. So we have 2 choices available. We have this blue pad here, which is quite stiff. You can see when I'm trying to bend that, it doesn't flex too much. So it's quite a hard product, so for more aggressive applications. And if I want to be a little bit softer and a bit more gentle, I have this rubber backup pad. And you can see there, it's much more flexible to the touch. So when I'm using the coated abrasives disc to do the grinding, remove the material, I want this product. When I'm using the finishing discs and I need a little bit more, to be a bit more gentle on the surface and get a bit of bigger footprint, it's this black product. Okay, so both of these come with an M14 thread on the back, so which perfectly matches the thread on the angle grinder itself, so we can spin these directly on the machine. So we get the machine, put it on here so we can see what I'm doing. So here we have the machine with the 2 flanges on there. We spin off the top flange, put that somewhere safe where we don't lose it. We can take off the back flange as well. Again, put that somewhere safe where we're not going to lose it. And then we can spin on the backup pad really easily. By the way, my machine is unplugged, so don't worry about me being unsafe here. And simply, to lock it, you obviously use the locking button at the back and lock the spindle and tighten it on by hand. Now that's perfectly tight enough to use for any kind of operation. Okay, so the second method of converting your angle grinder is the adapter that we saw earlier. Okay, so let's have a quick zoom in on the adapter. So you can see here it is. On one side we have the M14 thread that goes directly onto the spindle of your angle grinder. And the other side we have a smaller thread which perfectly matches the thread inside our backup pads. And our backup pads, or our speed lock backup pads that are designed to use on this machine here. Okay, you can see the machine already has one on. So this backup pad I've taken off because I'm going to show you now how this can attach to that pad and therefore create your adapter. Okay, so we take a spanner to the thread itself. I can undo that very, very quickly. Spin that out. And then we can put in the adapter here. Obviously the small thread inside the thread on the backup pad. Spin that in there. And then with a 19mm spanner, we can just give that a little nip and we're ready to go. So effectively, using the backup pad from our spindle mounted ones we sell for our mini right angle grinders, we've made one of our pads straight away. So you can either buy this off the shelf or you can buy the adapter and use your existing quick change pads to adapt your grinder. So really versatile, and it's entirely up to you which method you use. Okay, so what I'm going to show you now is how this differs in time to changing a standard disc on an angle grinder versus with a quick change system on there with one of our quick change discs. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put the flanges back on the grinder. Okay, I'm going to mount a flat disc, for example. I'm going to put that on there quickly. And then we're going to see how long it takes me to do that. So machine on the table. So we're going to start. I can get our timer off the wall here and zero that. Okay, so if I press go now, I'll put that up here, maybe this way around so you guys can see it. Okay, so we can start. So take the spanner, undo the top flange, wind off that top flange, again put that somewhere safe. We can take off the backing plate there. Now we can put the machine down because we want to grab our product. So say we want to get the same one again. Okay, lift it back on, put it product in place, top flange back on, and we need to lock it up with the spanner as well. Okay, so locked up. So now we're ready to grind. We've stopped that. So that's 39 seconds. Not sure if you can see that. Yes, you can on the screen there. So 39 seconds to change over your product. So imagine you know, if you're doing that a lot of times in the day, it's quite a bit of time wasted. But if we were to put on our quick change pad, which I'll use here, I'll use the blue one because that's what I'm going to be using first of all. Spin that on the machine. Okay, so say for example we already had a disc on this product. Okay, so I've got a coated abrasive disc on there I was using to remove some weld or whatever. Let's zero this a second. That's easy for me to say than do. Okay, so if we were to change that over to one of our surface conditioning discs, let's see how long that takes. Okay, so we'll start the timer, pick the machine up, spin off the disc very simply, spin on the new one, ready to go. So really easy, 9 seconds. All right, so that's why we call them quick change discs, because they really are very fast to change over. Right, it's as simple as that. Okay, so what we're going to be doing today, we showed you the system, how it works, okay? And now we're going to be looking at how these discs perform on a component such as this. So we've got a stainless steel T-section here, and you can see in the middle of this, we've got a weld joining this part of steel to this part of the steel. What I want to do today is show you how quickly you can alternate between different products to blend this surface to a nice finish. So a nice flat and homogeneous finish to make it look like one piece of material. So first step today, let's get rid of this weld. We have again a huge portfolio within our quick change disc system. Lots of different I think I need a bit of oil on this vise by the sound of it. Lots of different products available, But today I'm going to be using probably the more high performance products within our range. So to take off this weld, I'm going to be using our Blaze R980P. So this is our orange product. Okay. So, to take off a weld, if I want to do it really quickly, I'd probably use I could use a 36 grit, but as this is stainless steel and I want to respect the finish or get to a nice finish, I'm going to use something a little bit finer. Okay, of course, 36 grit is going to get me there much quicker, but then I'm going to be left with some scratches I'm going to have to take out with all of the other finishing products later. So I'm going to start with this product here, which is a grit 60. Okay, so we've already got a product on here, so I want to change that over really quickly. Spin that away, that's gone. And then put on our abrasive disc for the weld removal. Okay, so there you go. Sorry, yeah, get that in the camera there. So easy. By the way, I missed to say about these quick change. You can see how this works. A little thread on the back there, which is called a button. So this has what we call a type 3 thread on there. So a screw thread that matches the thread inside all of our different backing pads we've got here today. So that thread simply inserts on here. We lock the machine with the locking nut on the back, as you can see here, and we can lock that disc in place really easily. So it's very secure. Okay, so let's get some power onto the machine today. Plug him in. Okay, now the machine's live and ready to go. So before we start, I need to get on the PPE. I've got the flame retardant overalls, my safety shoes on. I'm going to put in the hearing protection on the one side. I'm already protected on here with a microphone and a headphone I've got in today. Face mask, protect my face from any sparks, and also some gloves, of course, because the materials could get quite hot today. Always good to be wearing gloves when you're using these products. All right, so we are protected and ready to go. So components in the vise. Let's take off this weld nice and quickly with the quick change discs. So I think you can see there, we'll just take this out of the vise, how quick that was. Not only have I taken off the weld, but I've also braided the surface all over here because there were lots of scratches and dents and knocks on this product. Also, you can see the lines from the rolling mill as well, the finish from the plant where this box section was made. I want to try and blend it. It's better to use the coated abrasive disc to do all of those operations and get rid of all the big scratches and damage on this product as well as the weld. So you can see that's already looking pretty good, to be honest, if you compare to how it started, right? So you can see a lot brighter, a lot shinier, but now we can progress on to the next steps. And you see how quick that application was. Imagine now if I'd done that with a flat disc or a fiber disc. Now I've got to stop. I've got to change the disc over using the spanner. It takes nearly a minute sometimes to do that. So if I'm doing small areas like this, it just makes sense to pick up this quick change system and speed up the operation. Okay, so now we're going to blend the scratches I've left from the coated abrasive product. So take off the disc really quick, and then we can mount our next product. The product we're using today, there's a couple of things we could use, to be honest with you. I could either use our surface conditioning discs, which we have here. Again, I'll move the angle grinder out of the way a little bit. So I could use our Rapid Prep surface conditioning discs, which again come with our little button on the back, as you can see here. Or I could use our what we call a unitized disc. Both will do the same job. Both are medium grade. This is maroon. It's always medium. This one's blue. It's always medium as well when it's unitized material. But one thing in common with these two products is they have our Vortex grain in there, which is the high performance grain, which gives me a nice cut rate, but also a super duper finish as well. These discs will do essentially the same job. But personally, I like the performance of this Vortex product. It really feels nice for me to use. And again, on the unitized material, it just gives me that extra little bit of cut, an extra bit of shine than you get with a surface conditioning disc. So today, I'm going to use this product. So again, we've done the removal with that. I'm going to use the same backup pad. So this material is reasonably stiff, so no problem to use this blue hard backup pad. spin this disc on really quickly, and again, ready to go. So that's it. Let's blend away the surface here. So I think you can see now we've really started to refine the finish very quickly. You can see a bit of tram lining, of course, where the disc has traveled, but we'll remove that with the final process. But compared to how we started, like here, you can see the finish is looking pretty damn good at the moment. Also, because it's so fast doing this, the heat on this material is relatively low, so it's not warmed up too much at all. Okay, so then we can move on to the last step on this component to finish it. We're going to do today. So we want to get to almost like a sub-polished finish today. And the next product I'm going to use for that is our 2SF product. So this is a much more flexible disc, as you can see here. So as I'm not removing much material and I wanted to refine the finish, if I use the hard abrasive, I'm going to put that hard abrasive pattern into the material here, like I did with the blue disc I just used, the Vortex Rapid Blend. But this is much softer. Okay, denoted by the density 2, which is the softest product we do in this unitized range. And it's S and F on here, 2SF. So 2 for the density, S for silicon carbide, and silicon carbide will give you a much brighter finish on the stainless steel, and fine grade. F means fine. Okay, so we're reducing the aggressiveness of the disc as we go through this process to this finishing product. And again, really quick, we can just lock the thread, spin off the disc, put that down there. Next one on, and we're ready to go. Really, really that quick. Okay, let's blend away the tram lines that we see from the previous product. Okay, so let's have a look at the finish now. I mean, you're going to see some tram lines because I'm using a rotary disc on the material, but you can see now that finish is extremely bright. It's like I say, it's sub-polished. You can see the mirror effect we've got in there. Okay, so really impressive again to go from the finish we have here, which is, you can see all the damage, all the lines from the rolling mill, the burn, the weld, in 3 simple processes in really next to no time as well. We've made a really nice finish of that bit of stainless steel. Okay, so really looking quite impressive there. Of course, like I say, we can do all of this with our standard products. We have the blue disc here for the angle grinder, so the Vortex Rapid Blend in the disc that fits on your machine normally. We have the fiber discs here, which you can take off the weld. We have our finishing disc here, the 2SF that we can put on that machine here. So you have that option here for the larger applications or the bigger applications, but also you have that with the quick change system that we can see in front of us here. So is mimicking exactly what's available on a standard angle grinder portfolio. We have exactly the same here with our quick change discs, as you can see. Okay, so another product, one of our best-selling products for angle grinders is this product here, our Norton Rapid Strip Blaze. Okay, it's a pretty famous product in the market. It's 100% ceramic grain in here. Really aggressive product for stripping surface contaminants, rust, paint off steel. But we also have that version available in quick change discs as well, as you can see here. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to show you how we can remove rust from this bit of steel using the quick change discs, just as we have done with the blending previously. So have a look at the surface there. We can see lots of rust. This part was ground down a few weeks ago, and it's been sat outside for a little while. And you can see we've got a layer of corrosion on the carbon steel now, which we would like to take off as quick as we can. So that's when we're going to employ our Rapid Strip quick change disc, again there with the Type 3 button on there. Okay, so let's get the component in the vise, tighten him up, and again, really quickly spin on our quick change disc very, very easily. Okay, and now we are ready to go and strip off this rust. Okay, so not just quick change, but quick action as well. See, that's cleaned that up beautifully in a matter of seconds. Okay, so all that rust is gone, and that's ready for paint, powder coat, whatever it need be, whatever way you choose to protect your carbon steel from future corrosion. So really, really nice product for the quick change disc system. Last of all, I'm going to show you one last product, which is our high strength material. Again, we have this available for a T27 disc on an angle grinder, but we also have it on the quick change function. If we just zoom in on that, Martin, thank you very much. You can see here, it's almost like a hand pad type material, but a lot stiffer and a lot thicker and more sort of heavy duty. Imagine if you used a hand pad material on these kind of products, it would rip and tear very easily. But this product is suitable both for angle grinders on a T27 disc and quick change products. Now, what I'm going to do on that is I'm going to use the same component, but I'm going to use this side of the component where we have the weld and the burn and the bluing. So instead of removing the weld and blending this surface, say, for example, I wanted to keep this weld on for structural integrity or just because of visual aesthetics, I want to keep that, I don't want to remove it. Using an abrasive disc such as the Blaze is not going to work. We're going to actually braid that weld away by that. So if I just wanted to clean it, this high strength material is perfect. It won't remove the underlying material. It'll just remove the markings on the surface there. All right, so let's get the component back in the vise and we'll mount the quick change disc, the high strength, on our grinder. And I'll quickly buzz off that burn and the bluing we have on our stainless steel workpiece here. So again, really fast, ready to go straight away. So again, you can see how quick that is. A couple of passes and it's done. All right, we can now see no burn, no blue on there. We have not really touched the material at all. The weld is fully there. It's not removed any of the structural integrity of that weld at all. It's just cleaned it up nice and bright to match the rest of the surface of this bit of stainless steel. Okay, so that was a quick half an hour. The time flies very fast when you're using these kind of products because they are so quick to do the job. So I think we should summarize what we've seen today with our quick change disc system. I mean, first of all, it's the versatility of this tool, the angle grinder, with these backup pads, whether you choose the adapter or you choose the M14 pads that we already say are dedicated for this machine. The versatility of it is absolutely fantastic. Also, the optimum use of the disc. We can use a full surface of these discs rather than just a periphery like you do on a lot of discs that we use on an angle grinder. So you're really getting your money's worth out of each disc. Reduced costs, they're a lot smaller. So if you're doing small jobs like we showed here today, it makes sense to invest in one of these backup pads to use on your grinder. And greater accuracy. You can see I can really see what I'm doing with this. It's not a large disc going across the surface when I might touch areas of the component I don't want to. You've got real good control of this disc and the speed of change. Okay. There's also quite a key thing, I think, with this system as well, is how much stuff you've got to carry around or have on your workbench or whatever else. Say, for example, I use the standard products on an angle grinder. I've got to have, a flat disc, a fiber disc with this backup pad. I've then got to have surface condition discs in the full family, okay? Then the blending discs, okay? So the Rapid Blend Vortex, the Rapid Blend 2SF. I've then got to have the disc Rapid Strip to take off the rust and paint. I've then got to have the high strength disc as well. Okay, so all these products I've got to carry around with my angle grinder, okay? But with the quick change function we have in front of us here, I can just take the disc for removing the welds. I could take the flat disc version of that, the non-wovens, okay? So that's simple there. I can then have the blending discs, remove this helmet, get it in the way, and the high strength disc. So instead of having a bag full of products like you see in front of you here, you've got a little handful of products. So it's easier to transport this application around, especially if you have a cordless machine. This is where they really come into their own. If you have a battery-powered machine rather than a corded machine like we have here today, this system really, really makes sense. And again, with a battery machine or a cordless, you're only going to be doing small jobs. So they really do lend themselves to that kind of application. Okay, so so that's our quick change system. You see, really, really quick, 5-6 seconds to change the disc rather than nearly a minute on a standard one. So it really does sell itself to people who are changing the operation that they do frequently throughout the day. Right, so just a bit of news on our live streams. We are going to have a summer break now, so we'll be back in September for those of you who want to join us back then. So don't forget to mark that in your calendar. To those of you who have joined us live, please stick around because we have our question and answer session at the end. But for those who are watching on YouTube, thanks for joining us. We'll see you.